Let's see who shows up. It's humid today, really humid today. So, before everybody shows up, so that any of you guys are watching right now, just logging in, so you know there will be a giveaway video going up today. I already shot it. I'm not going to mention anything about it, but the giveaway announcement for the July giveaway, I am doing another members only. Hey, what's up, Anthony? I haven't talked to you in a while. Will be a members only exclusive giveaway for the premium tier members 2 months in a row. I don't think I'm going to be able to do one next month. I don't have anything set aside for it, but how can you get? Email me. Email is in my video descriptions always. So it's the best way to get a hold of me, and I will probably, first thing I'll do, email you and then email you right back with a price structure. Wow, I went from 5 to 3. Today in pocket is the Civivi Riffle. So yeah, there's going to be a members, premium tier members exclusive, and I already have it out. You guys will see the video today going up for for view. It'll be up at 4 p.m. today. Yeah, this is, yeah, Civivi. So what Civivi is, Civivi and Sencut, they are the budget line for Wee Knife Company. And if you've ever had a Wee knife, you know that they're really, really good quality. Hey, I didn't mean for this to be so late. It's almost 10. I wanted to do this earlier, but I was having problems with YouTube. I couldn't get logged into my YouTube account. It's not like YouTube's trying to block me or anything. It was just something wrong. I think YouTube may have been down. I could watch, but I couldn't log in. I was watching from a guest account. And then once I got logged in, you know what I discovered? If you watched the video yesterday, Jelly's Marble Runs, huge channel. I love that channel. It's one of my favorite channels. Commented that he liked the fact I used it as a background. He was like, nice background. And I was like, holy crap. So could I do a video on pocket knives? That's all I do, knives. That's all I do. These are all pocket knives. You carry them in your pocket. Fixed blades aren't. I don't do very many fixed blades on this channel, so. No, because I'm not drawing till the end of the month. So if you want to get in at a premium tier, remember, Frank, it's premium tier. I'm sorry, not the premium tier only, the premium and baseline. So those two, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's not just the premium. Yeah, and he took the time to comment, and I was like, wow, that's freaking awesome. And I don't watch mainstream sports anymore because I just, not to get too into it, I don't want to start a big controversy, but there's enough politics in the world without having to watch it on sports. I've done videos about that too, Greg. So serrated knives are good if you're cutting like heavy line and things like that. I personally think that if you're going to have a serrated knife, it should be only Trustpilot. What are we talking about here? Serrated knives are really good for cutting line and things like that, meat, flesh. They are really hard to sharpen. But I personally, if I don't like the half and half blades, I'd prefer to have just a straight edge and a fully serrated. So if you're somebody that's always cutting like heavy line and stuff like that, so it's it comes in handy for that. Yeah, California's horrible. It's horrible out here. The taxes, the stupid laws and rules. I just hope they don't take their stupid stuff to California. or from California to Texas. I'm hoping to move to Texas eventually. I don't like to talk about that too much because then that gets into that gray area. You guys watched that Metal Effort had his channel taken down because they said he was doing weapons content. I'm not going to mention that anymore. There are knives that are specifically for that. And yes, most of them are serrated. So I'm not even going to say it out loud. So that's another one that we got to kind of following the rules and staying inside the guidelines of YouTube is like hitting a moving target. So there's a lot of internet guidance you could find on that, but yeah, Spyderco makes a couple knives that are specifically for that. There's like 40% of people. The whole thing is like they have done nothing to curb homelessness and stuff like that. But we're not getting into a political. This isn't a political channel. I don't want to talk about why people are leaving California and all that crap. Nobody wants to hear it. There's enough of that crap already on YouTube. We're here to talk about other stuff, fun stuff. Did anybody get anything new over the 4th of July weekend? Anybody treat themselves to a new item? I have an item coming. It was a gift. And it's coming, and it's a fixed blade, and it's going to get a review. Like the person asked me not to say, Mr. Cobretti, something happened to your knee, and I have a friend. Not really a friend. I haven't talked to him in years, but when we were stationed together, this guy on his birthday got so drunk that he broke his leg and didn't realize it till the next morning. Like woke up and he's like, I can't walk. I've been trying to get something in K390 to try out. I don't know. I'm on the fence about any of these new steels. I'm pretty happy with the stuff. Like I'm going back. Any more sea snakes? There's always for sale. They're on YouTube, or they're on Artisan, or on Amazon. Might be on Knife Center. They're available. What I was gonna say is I've gotten back to, I like some of the super steels, but I'm back to the stuff that I carry a lot right now, or stuff that's like in like this. This is in Sandvik 14C. 14C Sandvik. It's a really, really, really good steel, especially in a knife like this. This is super thin. This one, I've been carrying it for a few days now, and it's a super good cutter. Strops up nice and easy. Not really. Nitro V is Nitro V is completely different. Nitro V is a nitrogen, a heavier nitrogen-based steel. I like it. Elliot's done some stuff in Nitro V. And it's a good, it takes a really good edge if you are careful with it. Another steel that a lot of people shit on is RWL 34, and I happen to like it a lot. So no, I have not seen that. But then again, you guys, I've been showing you guys in the background the content I watch. I don't watch a lot of like hunting and fishing and stuff like that. I don't watch most of it. So, I've been putting up the stuff I watch, like Jelly's Marble Runs. So, let's see. Somebody asked something here. M390 seems hard to sharpen. It's not if you're patient. It's gotten to the point where I've done it so many times. I find it's easier than other things to sharpen. I guarantee. I do know that S125V. No, I'm okay. I'm sure I could find it some other time. Because when you put links in and it screws with stuff and it winds up in the, it winds up getting sent to the filters, and then I have to decide if I want to allow it or not. If you add links in comments, a lot of them get flagged, and then I have to deal with all that before I can get back to the main conversation. So it's okay. I really don't care. The thing with M390 is it's it's a fairly resilient steel. And so it's one of those ones that holds up pretty well. It can be challenging to sharpen. S125V is a nightmare to sharpen, and it makes, at this point, M390 and 20CV for me is no more difficult than no more difficult than any of the other steels. As a matter of fact, I had a harder time with BD1, CTS BD1 in this knife, because while I don't like the way it takes it, it's really CTS BD1 is pretty wear resistant, and I had a hard time getting this to do what I wanted. It felt like my aluminum oxide stones just were like gummy and it didn't want to cut. And the diamond stones, just it slid on the, I was like, man, it is really wear resistant, but it doesn't take like the crisp kind of edge that I would want. And so this, I still have not fully reprofiled this edge. You can see that's where the factory edge was all screwed up at the heel. Right there, you can see that deep grind with that facet. And I've just come to the conclusion it's just not getting fully reprofiled. This is my personal knife, so this is my Voyager Tonto. So, you know, it depends on the steel, depends on which. I have a harder time. It will get weak if you cut lots of cardboard. What, the steel? Steel doesn't get weak from cutting cardboard. It'll get dull. Because cardboard is really abrasive. The fibers in the wood are really abrasive. So this isn't gonna be a long live feed, like I said. I wanted to start a lot earlier, but there was problems. I couldn't log into YouTube. It just wouldn't take my credentials. So I think it was down for a period of time, and then I got busy doing something else, and then came back. And once I logged in, and I saw that Jelly Marble Runs had commented on the video that I used him as a background on an Asher Knives video, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool that he even went ahead and commented on that. So, guys, there's 11 of you here and only 7 likes. I will tell you that the things that I have a harder time with sharpening, other than like 20 CV and M390, because those are good and hard, really cheap. Now, I've had people send me really cheap knives that were just really cheap knives that were just you know, like a family heirloom or something, and you would go and you try and sharpen them, and it just, the heat treat was bad, and they just wanted them sharp to put them in, you know, to kind of refurbish them because they were their grandfather's knife or something. Case in point, this is one of my grandfather's knives. It's actually missing a blade. I was going to try and refurbish this and clean it up real good, but I mean, this is an old Imperial, I believe. Yeah, this is an old Imperial. One of the blades he broke one of the blades off. This was my grandfather's knife, and I was going to clean it up real good and give it to my daughter, but I tried to sharpen it a little bit, and it's so soft. It's a crappy little knife my grandfather had. I have one of his old Barlow knives here at the house. I have some of my dad's old knives. But that's a really old knife, and compared to some of the more modern steels, like even what's in my old timer here, my Big Bear Trapper, it just, you can't even compare the two because it's just so soft and hard to sharpen. And where the hell did everyone go? These are nice little knives. What knife are you going to have your daughter carry instead of pepper spray? I got a little neck knife that I was going to let her carry. Was going to get a Rockstead, but don't want to have to send stuff to Japan. Yeah, it's this is an old carbon steel. I'm not sure the heat treat. The old Imperials, like I said, this is a knife that my grandfather had when I was little. I remember him having this. So, I mean, this knife's 40 years, at least 40 some odd years old. And it was old. I remember it being old when I was a kid. Because this used to sit, like you'd see it and I'd pick up his little knife, and he kept his knife so sharp. It's still sharp, but just not sharp the way I would want it. but it's one of those things that he had and it's mine now. And I was like, wow, oh, that's not good. I almost cut myself yesterday with this, with my Norseman. Oh, Mike, it's definitely time to get new pants. New pants. Pockets are falling apart. It must have been a dull knife if it still hurts. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me, large animal. Hey. I think we have acquired a new cat. It comes in the house, walks right by the dog, doesn't give a crap about the dog. It's a huge cat, too. So, hey, Ace, what's going on? Let's see, anything else coming up? There's a video that's scheduled. You guys are going to see the What's Inside series for the... What's next? I put a couple things up. There's a video that goes up tomorrow, which will be the What's Inside for the, I believe it is the, I can't think of what I'm wanting to say, Spartan Harsey. There we go. Couldn't think of the company name. It's happening a lot lately. I need to make a doctor's appointment. My memory is not what it should be. Inuit ice knives. No, I have not. It's not Inuit ice knives. And I don't even know what that is. You shouldn't be drinking this early in the day, Winston. You're in California out here with me. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. You can't be doing shots at 10 o'clock in the morning. Well, you can. Guys, did you know that drinking rum before noon does not make you an alcoholic? It makes you a pirate. Or, it is definitely not Inuit ice knives. Watch company that I mentioned. I have not got it set up yet. I'm not going to mention it until I get my affiliate link and put it down below. Well, Greg, I would send you to a video that was Modern Marvels. You can look it up on YouTube. Modern Marvels, the Science of Sharp, I believe it was, because they talk about different types of sharp, because different things can be sharp. Like, I can make a knife really sharp. Case in point, I had been doing a lot of really polished edges for people, and I had a guy that's a fisherman. He came out and I did a couple of his knives, and I took him to like 5,000 grit, which was, I was just taking a lot of stuff to 5,000 grit, and he came back and goes, "This knife is not sharp." I said, "Dude, it's super sharp." And I showed him, and you could shave with it, and you cut paper, and he goes, "Look, it won't cut fucking line, and it won't cut bait." And I'm like, okay, I know what you want. And so I gave him, instead of I think I had originally like a 3,000 or 5,000 grit edge on his knife, I gave him a 250 grit edge, and he goes, "Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's sharp." So it depends on what you're doing. And I seriously doubt if you're gonna have ice that will be able to cut metal. Making a knife from ice, just due to the way ice works, and even at temperatures, when you put force on it, generate heat, and it actually will melt against the surface of whatever you're doing. That's why skates work. That is how skates work. They basically just melt a groove through the ice and allow it to go through. So they may be cool, but I would say that it's obsidian. Yes, I know will get sharper than steel. It will get sharper than steel. But a lot of times these things that get put out, like the Lemmings, they do things for videos and do things for documentaries that aren't always true. The thing about the Lemmings, that was faked. The Lemmings actually do not throw themselves off of cliffs. They forced these animals off the cliffs to make something for a documentary that was absolutely not true. You can look it up. It's a urban legend. Lemmings do not actually throw themselves off cliffs. People, disreputable videographers will do things for documentary purposes that aren't true. And then you come and find out years and years later. Now, I do know that obsidian and flint will take a much, much thinner edge, just by the way that, especially the obsidian, like glass, you can actually nap glass and have it be a much sharper edge than you could ever get on steel, because it can get thinner because the molecules are thinner. That's why some of these Nitnell materials like SM100, they're a smaller molecule, and therefore when you get down on the molecular level, you're looking at a thinner edge. And the fact that the way it's bound, things like glass are flexible to an extent that allow it to shear off and give you a thinner edge. Now glass is much more brittle, but like I was saying, like SM100, you can strop SM100 out way thinner than you can steel because it's more ductile and it's a smaller molecule on the molecular and atomic level. So you can actually get that thinner. Like I say, you can only, like sharp, you can only get things, people always think that like a 10,000 grit edge is going to be sharper than a 1,000 grit edge. And it truly isn't. It's just a more refined edge. And it depends on what you can do. When you start getting into fine cutting and cutting finer materials and things like that, that don't need as much tooth, a high grit edge is really good for like woodworking and things. You get a better finish edge for guys like when I sharpen like carving knives for people. A 10 or 12,000 grit edge, Beardo the Weirdo. A 10 or 12,000 grit edge is really good for that because not only do you, when you're using it for cutting tools for cutting wood and things like that, not only does it cut a little smoother, but it leaves you a more finished surface, less sanding. That's why a lot of guys use for lathe turning and things, they want their stuff really sharp for woodworking, for hand chisels and things where you're doing woodworking. You get more close to a finished surface, the sharper, the finer that edge is. There's less tearing of the material because it's a finer edge. So yeah, Beardo, I'm gonna try and get that knife out to you this week. It just depends on when I'm gonna have a chance. I'm doing a lot of contract negotiation stuff for vendor services. But at any rate, what I was saying is like, so you can't just say, like, people get confused. You want a knife. People get confused when I say a 10,000 grit edge versus a 3,000 or a 1,000 or a 400 grit. For a lot of the stuff I use, there's a 400 grit edge on this. This gets used a lot. It's a 400 grit edge. This gets used a lot for, we still have boxes and stuff that we're emptying out and cutting up and things like that. So depending on what you're going to do with a knife, what do? Now if I was to do another video, like say if I decided I was getting rid of the beard, and I would obviously, at this point, you guys know me, you've seen some of the old original videos. I shaved with a tomahawk, I shaved with a Bowie knife, I shaved with my pocket knife, I've shaved with a chisel. I don't know if I did that. I had an old channel where I did that on. I shaved with a wood chisel. I've shaved with all kinds of things. At this point, if I was to decide to shave, I would take one of my knives and I'd take it all the way to 12,000 grit, and I would strop the crap out of it to where it almost had no tooth, because that's what I would want to shave. No, it just chips. Your best bet is to stay to lower grits. I'd say 400 to 600 grit. Don't go much above that on S30V, because as much as people argue with me, it does chip. It does chip. So, yeah, I've got, I had a customer stop by on Saturday to bring some knives. I've got a customer that wants to drop some knives off sometime this week. He's going to drop a couple off, and I'm going to get them done so he can come back and pick them up. I've got some videos that I shoot on for Full 30. I haven't done any for a few weeks. If you guys want to see my political content stuff, that's where you find it, on full30.com. I took my S30V Benchmade right here when it was still an S30V blade, and I took it to 10,000 grit, and it still had some tooth, but like I said, it chipped. So this is my S90V blade, and I like it a lot better. Is he paying me with every message he says? No, he's a paying member. So he has a little icon next to his name, and the longer he stays a member, you see that little icon on the right next to his thing there, because he's a paying member. The longer he stays a paying member, that changes color. It goes from green to yellow to red. Not that rich. It'd be nice. But what was that? Somebody said, the angle matters, right? The angle can prevent some chipping, but I've tried multiple angles on S30 for my my 940, and I didn't see any difference. What happens is when you start, especially on a thicker knife like this, because it is rather thick. It is rather thick behind the edge. What'll happen is when you get to an angle that is blunt enough to prevent the chipping, then you can't really, it doesn't cut all that well. And like I said, it's already relatively thick behind the edge. Let's take a look. I'll get a knife that cuts really well, and I'll get this, and we'll measure behind the, we'll just do a quick. Sorry, I was confused. Yeah, but they won't hold that edge. You can get almost anything sharp. I can sharpen aluminum. It won't hold that edge. So behind the edge thickness on this, which is the Benchmade 940, you are looking right behind the edge. .29, 0.3 basically, for this knife. You can see that's just right behind the edge thickness. Now, if I come up right at the very edge, almost at the apex, just right behind the apex, 0.255. So now my knife design, which is relatively thin, behind the edge is 0.016, so half the thickness. And so that's already relatively thick. And to get an angle on that would prevent the chipping, you're gonna lose performance, a lot of the performance. Now that's just basically because this is really thin stock, but the fact is, this knife is not that much thicker. Let's look at blade stock thickness, so we can do that here. 0.11 thickness, and this is 0.10. So really not that much difference in blade stock thickness, but the difference is how it's ground. So as you can see, they've done this fanciful swedge where you've lost basically half of that blade width. The wider the blade, the thinner you can grind it behind the edge, unless you do a hollow. This is a knife that probably could have done well with a hollow, because that would have taken out more material to allow you to have a thinner behind the edge. Broader blade, thinner blade. If you're gonna have a thin blade, you need a thin stock. It's just how it works. That's how you get that behind the edge thickness, or you can mitigate it with a hollow. Like a hollow would take more material out behind that edge and allow you something like that. Who are you talking to, Greg? Let's put this away. Greg, what are you talking about? Like your random comments, like honestly, it's weird. Are you talking about me? Who are you talking about? You keep mentioning some moldiness. You mentioned it in another feed. There was no mold in this house when we moved in. I don't know what he's talking about. At any rate, so yeah, the behind the edge thickness on this, that's some of the things that like I like to talk about. Like I made a knife for my buddy Matt, and it came out at 0.011 behind the edge thickness, and it was a hollow ground drop point. So let's see, what other stuff here? Let's see. So Greg, like I said, that's the old VCT. Bro, I don't know what you're talking about, but you were asking about the green thing behind his name, and that's Like random comments, you reach a point where random comments, I like interacting, but random comments will get you blocked from a... What's JMO? Jameson's. Jameson's whiskey. So anyway, the green thing next to Beard of the Weirdos name is just an icon showing that he is a paying member. It changes with time. The longer he's a member, it gets different colors. I thought I explained that just a minute ago. So would you recommend for people with small hands? It just depends. You kind of, there's a handful. Go find the video I just did, pocket friendly EDC knives. Every one of those knives would be good for somebody that does not have large hands. There's 5 of them, and those are ones for my personal collection. But I mean, it just depends. It depends on what you're looking for in a knife. Like there's a lot of people with smaller hands that like the Norseman. For me, it's really not that big. Everybody was like, oh, that's a huge knife. For me, it's really not that big of a knife. So in all honesty, what we recommend, CJRB Rhea is a really nice small knife. Jared, what's going on? I know you did the edges, but did you make the edge on the demigods, or was that Elliot? I think that because Damasteel takes such a crisp, clean edge on anything, I think Elliot did those edges on the demigods. So that was that. I think I sharpened 2 of them. I haven't got to see. I saw a Pacheco, a Serge Pacheco bean once at a show, and that's the only one I ever really saw. No, I had it on the channel actually. I got to see it at a show, and the guy sent it to me, and I had it on the channel. Or was it Pill? I don't remember. But I think my wife is pulling up soon. So they're not horrible. I can't remember if I did that here or not. I don't remember. Any production knives in the works? I'm trying to get the drop point version of this out, and I'm gonna reach out to a couple companies. Artisan is do I think CJRB and Artisan ARRPM9 is the same? Yeah, it's the same company. That's like asking if We Knives steel is different than Civivi knives steel if it's the same type of steel. It's the same company. Civivi and Artisan are the same company. Just CJRB is their budget line. Artisan is their higher end stuff. So it's ARRPM9 is ARRPM9. It's proprietary. They're making it themselves. It's the same company. Very short fingers. I have a dagger that's based on the stonefish that I'm trying to get released. I don't know who I'm gonna get to do it. And then the drop point version of this so yeah, that's about it. I haven't came up with any other designs. I'm gonna make a couple knives here at the house. I'd like to see the membership pick up so that I can start doing stuff for the channel. The current state is that I have to wait months before I can purchase anything for the channel based on the YouTube payments. Because I told my wife, I was like, I'm not buying anything. Not buying anything for the channel, for the YouTube channel, with any of our actual money. It has to come from the monthly payments that I get from YouTube. Well, I posted up a picture of the drop point version of this up on my Instagram, Nick. If you would go over there, if you're interested in it, you guys need to kind of push. Interested in one. I had a design that, so my first production knife was the sea snake, or a stonefish, I mean. And people, okay, so there were so many people like, why does that knife have a flipper tab? It's because all of my fixed blade knives, I like the way a flipper tab feels as a finger guard. It feels kind of natural and comfortable and it's not sharp. So I basically took my design cue from a flipper tab. So this was the first production knife I had come out. And then this one, being the very next one. And then there's a drop point version of this called the Habu. So find my Instagram, you'll see a drop point version. No, not really. It's not really a bolster. It's just a finger guard. So I haven't carried this in a long time. I haven't even had this out of the drawer in forever. This is my personal one. I love this design. This is the first knife I ever designed. It's one of the first knives I ever made. It's actually the second design I ever made. I don't know, I consider a bolster like where there's another piece of metal. Like a bolster is, for me, a bolster is like your handles come up and then there's another piece. Big enough for my big ass fingers. That's probably a 1/2 inch. I think that's a 1/2 inch. I don't know, hang on, let's measure it. I got a set of calipers. Actually, yeah, I made the Kiridashi first. So the Kiridashi was the first knife I ever designed. The second one was a knife that the second one was this knife. So here's what the dropfish, the drop point version of that. I made this for my daughter. So this was for her. And as you can see, I've kind of, things have changed and modified a little bit, but this is the drop point version of that sea snake. So this was like the second or third knife I made. Third knife I made. This was the fourth knife I made. And Elliot was like, you should try and get that licensed. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. So I had these done by We Knife Company. And it is a great, great performing little knife if you're out in the field. The Outer Limitless, Eric Outer, did a video on it. He did a lot of stuff with it that I would not have expected a fixed blade knife with a short blade like that in 20 CV to be able to handle. He batoned it through some frozen oak and things like that. So, well guys, hey, I'm gonna get off here. The wife just showed up. It's just look up Mike Emler, the _Emler _ edge _ crazy _ sharp _ LLC. I don't know. It's on there somewhere. But yeah, the wife and kid just showed up. I've got stuff I need to do. Got to get off of here. I will talk to all you guys later. There is a video today at 4 p.m. that is the giveaway announcement for July. So I love you guys. If you haven't dropped a like already, do it on your way out, and I'll talk to you guys later.